Sustainability, and Parks. I am joined to my right by Councillor Lydia Edwards, who represents District 1, primarily the neighborhoods of East Boston, the North End, Charlestown, a little bit of downtown. No? West End?
No.
Well, you got three wonderful neighborhoods
I do.
there. We are here today to discuss docket number 0137 in order to accept and expend the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Environmental Affairs, Division of Conservation Services, Parkland Acquisitions and Renovations for Communities Program Grant, what's in a name, of $400,000 for the Noyes Playground. This matter was sponsored by Mayor Walsh and was referred to the committee on January 24th of 2018. These funds will provide capital improvements to Noyes Playground located in the wonderful neighborhood of East Boston. As the chair of the City Council's Committee on Environment, Sustainability, and Parks, I am encouraged to see all efforts to improve the public parks for our over 300 parks in the city of Boston. Established in November of 1909, Noyes Playground, which is located at and around 86 Boardman Street, is one of the largest playgrounds in East Boston. It sits at about 8.2 acres. The park includes a Little League field, baseball field, softball field, tot lot, and basketball court. The Baker-Polito administration will be funding a total of $6,385,785 in grant funding for parks and recreation improvements in 22 Massachusetts communities. The Parkland Acquisitions for Renovations for Communities, PARC, or PARC, grant program is funded through the state capital budget. We're joined today by two tremendous public servants, our Parks Commissioner, Chris Cook, and the Senior Planner of the Parks Department, Aldo Guerin. Before I turn over to you two gentlemen, did you have any opening remarks, Councilor Edwards?
I just wanted to say thank you for coming here today, and that it is a big deal for us in East Boston that Noyes Park is actually redone, and that we have the real investment from the state behind this, and of course the city of Boston. I think for a lot of folks this is a long time coming. We had hoped that this year would be the actual year where we're putting the shovels into dirt, and that parks are of course a huge deal to a lot of the generations in East Bostonians. There are, and I'm sure we'll have some people testifying about some suggestions in addition that they would like to see at the park. I will say I do appreciate the balancing of the many interests that I'm sure came to you with softball, with baseball, and of course with soccer. So I appreciate that, and I see that you've balanced those interests.
Thank you, Councilor Edwards. And finally, a quick housekeeping note. This hearing is being televised and streamed online. If any individuals here would like to testify, there are sign-up sheets to the back left of the chamber, to my left. Please sign in and we will stay. And as long as everyone wishes to speak, we will stay and make sure that they are heard. Gentlemen, welcome. Do you have any opening remarks?
Well, I'll be very brief, Councillor. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and then I'll turn it over to our senior planner for the details of the grant. But as Commissioner of Boston Parks, I just want to take this opportunity, as I do with most public settings, to acknowledge the hardworking men and women of the Boston Parks and Recreation Department, take care of our 2,600 acres that we're honored to maintain to the best of our ability. But I also want to acknowledge today the extraordinary leadership at the city level, both with Mayor Marty Walsh and, of course, the City Council in the recent years with the capital budgets for Boston Parks. The reason that I think the Commonwealth deemed this park worthy of investment is because it was buoyed by a large capital line item from the city. So without the city's leadership of over $3 million of investment, it may not have been enticing for the Commonwealth to invest in the park as well. We are very, very grateful to Governor Baker and Secretary Beaton, and of course the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs that are our partners in stewardship of open spaces. Noyes is a very, very worthy park to make such an extraordinary investment in, and we're also eagerly anticipating construction, as is the neighborhood. The project will be bid in March. Construction will begin in May, and we will have a ribbon cutting before the 2019 Little League season. So we're very excited to receive these funds. We would encourage the council to allow us to receive these funds, and we're excited to get started on the project. With that, I'll give the details of the grant to our senior planner.
Thank you, Commissioner. Aldo.
Thank you very much. Noyes is located in the northern end of East Boston, It's the second largest park in East Boston. East Memorial Park is larger, it's by the airport. Most of the other parks that have significant active recreation features are in the more eastern section. So this provides a key resource for recreation, health and wellness for this northern end of East Boston. We do have some active recreation facilities at Constitution Beach, but Saratoga Street and Bennington Street provide a bit of obstacle for people to actually get to it. Plus, it has a kind of seasonal character, especially the beach, which is a great resource for this neighborhood. What we've done is apply for the maximum grant, $400,000 for Noyes Playground. As we mentioned, that'll enable us to add, another basketball court to this area, a splash pad. We're also going to have an adult exercise area. We're going to be adding approximately 33 trees to a neighborhood that does not have a lot of tree canopy. And we'll also be putting in rain gardens that'll help reduce the impact of flooding in the neighborhood. And also we'll be putting in interpretive signage that will indicate, talk about the history of the area. History of this place was, once a tide land. Now it's filled, and it was acquired as parkland. And then we'll talk about the measures such as the LED sports lighting that'll help reduce energy demand and therefore carbon emissions, and what we can all do to try to reduce carbon emissions and reduce what was, the extreme flooding events that East Boston will be likely to experience in the years ahead. So, that's really all I got to say about it. It's, like I said, it's a great project. The state is, saw that it was, something that, they wanted to participate in, and, I think it'll be a really important asset to the whole community. Okay.
Thank you. Well, there are three things that I love: sports, parks, and lowering our greenhouse gas emissions. So you were able to touch upon all three. I have a couple of brief questions. Chris, I think you took the first one. The timeline is as follows: put out to bid next month, and then the construction will begin in May. That quickly? You're going to be able to turn around that quickly?
Yeah, we will. We think this is a very exciting project for a contractor. They'll be excited about it.
Fantastic.
Yep.
And then it'll be done by next April of 19, you think? And the city put in $3 million in their capital budget?
A little over 3, yeah,
And this
including design.
And this is $400,000. So this literally could be shovel ready. Well, is shovel ready, just going through the
It is, yeah.
process. Fantastic. And we'll talk a little bit about the community's sort of input for the process up until this point, if you would.
Yeah, so we went through our normal process of 3 community meetings. They were well attended, as most open space meetings in East Boston are. I will say that, and Councilor Edwards did a good job mentioning this before, there was a real challenge in accommodating softball, baseball, and soccer. And the reason for that is not that we haven't added more soccer fields in East Boston, but we could actually add 10 more soccer fields in East Boston. I think it would be hard for us to keep up with the popularity of the sport. And so there was a sense from the Little League users, there was a sense from some of the softball users that a lot of the open space in East Boston was already being used for soccer. So it was unimaginable to us to have an open space and not accommodate soccer at the field, but we wanted to be respectful of the other existing uses, softball and Little League. And so what we came up with was the scheme that you see in front of you, where we have a flexible component to the park. So there is one synthetic field in the park in the design, and that'll give us the flexibility of having soccer in the off-season and also having protected through permitting softball accommodated. But with the community center so nearby, I think the idea of having a flexible space also opens up the opportunities for lacrosse. It opens up the opportunities for flag football, other sports that people may be interested in, and we won't have to worry about turf damage in the off-season. One of the things that I'm most excited about, and I think we offset this with the rain gardens that we have on site. We're actually adding 4 rain gardens to accommodate all our stormwater, is the fact that the baseball field and the Little League field will be irrigated. So what that means is the current conditions that our children are forced to play in at Noyes right now are very, very tough. I mean, the infields are borderline concrete at certain points. With the irrigation there, they're going to get a level of consistency in the quality of the turf, and I think, you know, the exposure to potential injuries, the idea that the grass is going to get burned out after such a huge capital investment, those will all be limited by the presence of irrigation. So it's a fairly comprehensive project in a park that has not received one in a very, very long time.
That's fantastic. And so you're going to have some of the collecting of the stormwater. You're going to have some LED lights, overhead lights for the games. And what about one thing that Commissioner Cook, you and I have been working on for nearly 7 years now is water filling stations to help decrease our number of single-use plastic bottles. Will there be a water filling station in this?
Aldo, so I can't take credit for knowing this information. Aldo very wisely before this hearing informed me that there'll be 2 on site that are part of the design.
So the bubblers, typical bubblers, and then also a place for a young person or an older person to fill up their water bottle.
Each one of the stations has both. So both the filler and the bubbler at the same time. So one will be located near the playground, basketball courts, and one near the fields.
That's great. And can I request, as I do for all projects of this size, a sunscreen dispenser for our partners at Melanoma Impact of New England?
That's right. So we can actually accommodate it here, Counselor, and what we'll do is we'll create a partnership with the Boston Centers for Youth and Families Center that's close by, because as you know, we don't like putting them in unless we actually have additional staff nearby to sort of monitor their conditions.
Yep.
So we'll reach out to the BCYF Center and make sure that we get one installed there.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Well, thank you both. Counselor Edwards?
I just wanted to also I really appreciated you mentioning that there's a potential for growth here at this park. I think that's one of the best things about it, actually, is that the partnership, I think it's with the Marty Pino Center, could actually lead to more sports and more opportunities, and also being a little bit more creative with how we're going to use all of our space as, you know, some sports become more and more creative. So I really appreciate that. I know we're going to hear very soon from somebody who would like to testify about a usage that I fully support, and hope that we can also find some room for racquetball as well.
Okay. Thank you. And
Great.
I don't have any other questions. Gentlemen, I invite you to stay if you could. I know we have a little bit of public testimony just to hear some feedback.
Sure.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So you are you can join the audience, and Cora will bring us the list.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. And is Mr. Bove one of the people who's going to testify? Okay, great. So I have written testimony that I was going to read into the record, but if you'd like to just join us, if you want to sit at that table. Thank you. Thank you, Cora.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. You can even stay seated there if you want.
You sure?
Yeah,
It's up to you.
we're informal.
All right.
We're all friends here on the Environment, Sustainability, and Parks Committee. Just grab a seat anywhere you wish, Mr. Bove. Thank you.
Hi.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good afternoon.
Welcome.
My name is Jim Bove. I'm the Massachusetts Director for World Outdoor Racquetball. I have been for about 7 years now. I've been playing the sport, handball, racquetball, paddleball, literally since, I think, 1970. Basically, what I wanted to present was that outdoor handball, racquetball, and paddleball, and I brought, this is what a current paddle looks like, racket, and hand for handball. These are the handballs that are being used now, is growing throughout the country. And most states have hundreds, if not thousands, of courts. Florida has about 6,000. New York has over about 2,000. They have these complexes within the inner city. Orchard Beach, for example, right in the center of the Bronx, has a 24-court facility. What it does is it's giving kids and adults an outlet, basically, to spend their time on. Quite a few kids that have gone down certain roads have become really addicted to handball, racquetball, paddleball, and it's gotten them more in a health-conscious mode. So Massachusetts is really lacking, and if in any way literally all you need is a cement wall. I've got a drawing here. If we were to take a space of about 100-foot square, you could add 6 courts, professional-grade courts, within a 100-foot square, which is probably smaller than this room. It's really just concrete and a concrete wall about 16 feet high. I've been involved in design and construction at other locations, and really just am putting this forth that, whether it can possibly be added here or in any other parks or playgrounds in the future in Boston is really why I'm here. I'd be willing to offer my help, services. My background, I was director of engineering in some major hospitals in Boston and had a lot of experience with buildings, grounds, and construction. So really that's all I wanted to present was if in any way this might make its way into the future in some of the parks, playgrounds in Boston.
Right. Yeah,
Any
please,
questions?
Councilor Edwards.
I just wanted to say thank you for that presentation, and also just noting that there's a wonderful program, I don't know if you've heard of Squash Busters, right? As a perfect example of how within the family of handball, racquetball, there's already proven record of getting kids involved, getting them on fast tracks or tracks to college. So it's just something I really would love to see if it's a possibility. Again, you just need the back of the basketball court, one of the sides of it literally just being cemented so that they can have also 100 square feet around it. So it's mobile. So I hope you will consider it.
And my contact info is in here if maybe we could speak in the future.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bove. I appreciate it. Obviously, I share. And anything we can do to get more people out, more opportunities in our open space to engage in organized sports or even just sort of organic sports makes sense. Is it just, while we have you here, is there any movement to put in handball, racquetball, squash courts?
There isn't, and I'll have to check back through the community process, but that doesn't mean that there's not, if the bids come in low, that there's always potentials for add alternates in construction, and then of course there's always future design. But I mean, I wouldn't limit the request to. No, it should be. We have a much broader canvas than just Noyes Park.
Sure.
So.
And I think Jim was saying that as well. Just going forward, it's good to keep. Keep
I will say historically, it's not a sport that we've accommodated with outdoor facilities, and I think that would be a change in our mindset and one that would be welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Terrific. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Bove. Appreciate it. I don't believe anyone else is looking to testify unless anyone would wish to testify. You are more than welcome to do so. Okay, hearing none. I will be reporting out a favorable vote from the committee on Wednesday at our council meeting, urging quick action, and will certainly encourage my colleagues to support this in the affirmative. Wonderful work, gentlemen. Congratulations, Councilor Edwards and former Councilor LaMartina, who I know felt very strongly about making sure that this project is seen to fruition. It's been left in very great hands with your great leadership, and I look forward to coming over, visiting my friends in East Boston next April and seeing this beautiful park. So, hearing no other testimony, this hearing is hereby adjourned.